I'm 29 now. Here are 8 online solopreneur business lessons I wish I knew at 20. Number 1, if your income relies on one traffic source, you don't have a business. After I graduated from university in 2018, I started making money by creating content websites where I was just answering questions that people were asking on Google. And then I would get these websites to rank for the questions that people were asking. And then people would click through to my website, and then I would make money from ads on the website. It was quite a good lifestyle business for me because all I had to do was write blog posts, and then I would make money from ad revenue. I didn't have to deal with clients. I didn't have to do any sales calls. Everything was pretty much automated, and I could just write the blog posts in the morning or whenever I felt like it, and I could do it from anywhere at any time. So it was a really good business. At the peak, it was earning $11,000 a month, but it was relying on only Google for traffic. When they updated their algorithms one time, I lost pretty much all of the traffic overnight and also pretty much all of the income. I did actually have the idea to diversify the traffic, but my idea to diversify was to create more content websites. It didn't occur to me that that traffic source might stop working entirely, but obviously it did. So what I should have been doing was learning how to get traffic from other sources and also how to monetize in additional ways other than ad revenue. When you start out, usually one traffic source is going to do a lot better than your other traffic sources. And that's fine at the beginning. However, after a while, you really need to start thinking about how can I diversify the traffic? Because if you don't, you risk losing all of the traffic overnight, like what happened to me. Just quickly, guys, I made a free Framer landing page template. It features the overlapping customer images, the infinite brand slider, a card for video testimonials, cards for regular testimonials, the crossed out pricing, and more. You can find it in the link in the description. The second lesson is that it's much easier to hit a high income number quickly by selling high ticket services compared to trying to sell something that's inexpensive. If, for example, you're selling a $1,000 a month coaching offer, you only need to hit 10 sales to hit $10,000 a month. Whereas if you're selling something for $20, you have to do 500 sales to hit $10,000 a month. You might think that the marketing for the $1,000 product is harder, but often it's actually easier, because often the problem that you're solving is much more clearly defined, and you often have a very good idea of who you're marketing to. And so that makes the marketing actually a lot easier, because it's easier to know what type of content you should be creating, and it's easier to know the actual pain points that you should be highlighting when you're selling the product. Whereas with the cheaper products, often it's a bit harder to really understand the pain point that you're trying to solve, and it's harder to make it clear what the pain point that you're solving is. And so it's actually often harder to market the cheaper products compared to the more expensive ones. I personally don't like selling services and coaching offers, which are usually the higher ticket things that people sell, which is why on this channel I focus a lot more on how to scale a digital product business. But this still applies to digital products. If you're selling a $500 digital product, you only need to make 20 sales a month to hit $10,000. Whereas with a $20 product, you still need to make 500 sales. Leading on from that, the more clear and painful the problem that you're solving, the easier the marketing will be, and the higher the prices that you can charge. People think that if you just go viral, you'll make money. But the truth is that it's not about going viral. It's about getting people to understand that your product can solve their pain points. If you're marketing to people who clearly understand the pain point that they have, and they can see that your product can solve that pain point, then you don't need lots of views to be getting lots of sales. For example, Ravi Abuvala, he makes videos about how agencies can scale and get more leads. Agencies clearly understand that in order to grow their businesses, they need to get more people coming into their business, right, which they call leads. And so when Ravi Abuvala is creating his videos about that, it's very clear for people to understand the value that he can provide to them. So when he puts his very high ticket offers in front of them, he's able to make a lot of money, and he says he earns $1 million a month from his YouTube channel, he's able to make that amount of money, even though his channel doesn't get huge views. Most of his videos get less than 10,000 views, but because he has a high income audience who clearly understands how he can solve their pain points, he's able to make a lot of money doing that. Lesson number 4 is that when you're starting out, you have to realize that there's a lot of unseen compounding that's happening, and you're not going to get to recognize it if you quit too early. It's very rare for people to have instant results in any business. Usually what happens is you work on the business for the first few months and you see basically no results. And usually people stop right there. But the thing is though, most people who do have success in online marketing, they also didn't get much success right at the beginning. There will be some people who did, but for the most part, even people who make a lot of money online, most of them did not get fast results. So you need to expect that you're not going to get quick results. In reality, what will usually happen is you will get hardly any views on your videos when you're starting out for the first few months. But whilst you're uploading, you will try out different types of videos and you will start to get an idea of which videos are getting slightly more views than the other videos. And so you will post more of them, and then you will continue to make more adjustments as you go. And then that will result in you getting more and more views as you go. Then after a few months of doing that, you start getting some videos getting a lot more views. Then you maintain that momentum and keep improving the videos as you go. But usually then what happens is you start driving traffic to what you're trying to sell, but you haven't figured out how to sell it effectively. So you start getting a lot of traffic to what you're selling, but you make hardly any sales because you haven't figured out how to sell it properly yet. So then you have to go through that process again, where you start making adjustments to your sales process. So for example, you create a lead magnet to get people onto your email list, and then you create a welcome sequence, which is designed to sell your product, right? And then that gets you some additional sales. And then maybe you make improvements on your sales pages, and maybe you get some testimonials and you add in the testimonials. And then after going through that process, that's when you end up getting more consistent sales coming in. It's not something that just happens overnight. You see, in those first few months, you don't realize it, but there actually is something happening. You actually are gaining some momentum. Some people are becoming a part of your audience, and you're learning how to create the videos better, and you're learning how to do the sales better. But at the start, the gains are very small, so you don't see it. But what happens is it adds up. And then after a while, it becomes much more noticeable. You won't get to see that if you quit too early, which is why you need to keep going. The 5th lesson is that you need to think about the lifestyle that you want and then to build a business around that. As I mentioned earlier, if you sell a high ticket product to a clearly defined audience, like how Ravi Abuvala is doing for agencies, that's the fastest way to hit high income. However, I personally don't want to do that. I want to have it be the case that I can work at any time when I want, and that I don't have to deal with clients, and that I don't have to do sales calls, which is for me why it's better to focus a lot more on selling digital products, software, affiliate, and maybe also sponsors, because it's a lot more automated. Fundamentally, all online businesses work by having a pain point that they're solving, getting people to see the product that they're selling, and then making it clear to people that their product can solve the pain point. So you need to think about what pain points you actually can solve in a way that you actually want to, how you can grow an audience around that in a way that you actually want to, and how you can sell a product in a way that you want to. So for example, if you like fitness, you could do something like Dango, where you create content around fitness and diet. You send that audience to your email list, and then you sell to your email list a digital product, and Dango's digital product is a fitness program and diet program. Most interests that you have, you will usually be able to find someone online who has found a way to monetize that interest. So you should really start by thinking about what interests you and what you would like to create content about, and then how you can solve the pain points in that niche. And an easy way to do that is simply to look at businesses in that niche already and to look at how they're monetizing. Lesson number 6 is that all of the spaces teaching internet marketing online, they have a lot to teach you, but they are also bubbles, and you need to avoid being trapped in them. As I said earlier, when I was making money by creating content websites and ranking on Google and monetizing with ad revenue, all of the information I was getting about how to do it was coming from other people doing that exact business model. In reality, what I should have been doing was to look for online spaces talking about how they were getting traffic with different methods and how they were monetizing that traffic differently. So for example, I should have been looking for people in the same niche as me, but who were growing Facebook pages instead of blogs, right? And then monetizing those Facebook pages, because then I would have already had the content from my blogs and I could have repurposed it for the Facebook pages. And then I would have had an additional traffic and revenue stream. And that would have really helped me when I lost the Google traffic. Another example of this would be the copywriting community online. The copywriting community can teach you a lot about human psychology, how to make more sales from your writing on your emails, and how to get copywriting clients. But they generally won't teach you that much about how to generate traffic, different monetization methods, or even paid ads. So in that case, I would actively be trying to look for other communities where I can learn those different skills. Lesson number 7 is that you should always be trying to move people to an owned platform, such as email, podcasts, or paid or free communities. You have to grow your audience on platforms that you don't own, such as YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn, or Pinterest. But you can also lose that audience at any time. So it's going to really help you if you can find a way to push that audience towards an owned community, because if you do lose that audience, you're still going to have your audience in your owned community. In general, the easiest way to do this is to use lead magnets, like I did earlier in this very video, where I showed you the free Framer landing page templates. By getting the free Framer landing page templates, you have to enter your email, and then that adds you to my email list. And so I have an additional way to market to you through email, in addition to YouTube now. And then that protects me. And you should do the same when you're growing your audience. Lesson number 8 is that it really helps to establish a routine. It's going to be really hard if you have to figure out what you're going to do each day at the start of the day. Whereas if you have specific things that you do at each part of the day, it is much easier. So I know that in the morning, the first thing I'm going to do is work on Instagram. And then in the afternoon, I'll plan a YouTube video. And then in the evening, either I'll record the video or I work on the other tasks that I already have planned to work on. And by having that routine, it's very easy for me because I know exactly what I'm going to do at each part of the day. So I don't have to think about what I'm going to do. And that saves me a lot of energy. If you're struggling to be consistent in building your online business, you should really pay attention to the routine that you're following. If you don't have a consistent routine, you need to think about how you can add consistency to it and create a structure around it so that you can just stick to the structure, and that will make it much easier.